Hey all, welcome to lesson 1.2, where we're going to be talking about safety and some measurement things. Most of this you probably already know, but it's important to go over it anyway. As we're going to start doing some labs, it's important that you are being safe. Um, Starting this week, because we're working at a self-paced method, you never know who is going to be doing a lab at the table next to you. You never know who did a lab at the table in the class period before you. So from now on, we're not going to allow any food or drink in the lab. So no coffees, no monster drinks, no fries, no. So if you have something to eat or drink, you need to either leave it on the back table by the door or finish it before you come to class. It is okay to have water. Bottles of water with lids are fine to have at your table, but nothing else. We certainly don't want anything to get contaminated or to get mixed in with some chemicals. It can cause some bad reactions. But water bottles with a lid, as long as they have a lid, they're fine. Other than that, it needs to stay in the back of the room. When you are working on a lab, so you're going to have to make sure you're planning yourself good and keep and know where you're going. You must wear closed-toed shoes, so tennis shoes or other shoes that aren't open at the toe. That's obviously in case you drop something on your foot. You don't want to either spill a chemical, like the shoe will protect you from that, and it will also protect you from broken glass and other things. And then these other things will be lab specific. So for whatever lab you're doing, I will let you know if you need to wear a lab apron or goggles or gloves. But all that will be provided to you. What not to wear in the lab, again, open-toed shoes. So if you're working on a lab that day, it's super important you remember, just wear your tennis shoes. Also, if you have long hair, if you're working on a lab, it must be tied back. We don't want to drag it through any chemicals. We don't want to drag it through any flame, catch it on fire. We don't want any of that to happen to your hair. So just make sure you have some hair ties with you, and that way you can tie it back when you need to. A couple of behaviors. Again, I know you all know all this, but keep your space clean and neat. So whenever you're working, just keep it neat, clean up when you're done. This one is super important. Read all the materials and instructions carefully before you get started. That way you have an idea of where you're going and what you need to do. That is super important. Any equipment that you're carrying, make sure you carry it with two hands. It's kind of more for microscopes, but really for anything heavy, two hands is always best. Follow all directions and instructions. Super important. They're there for a reason, right? So please make sure all directions and instructions get followed. Don't skip them because you want to. And lastly, if you're not sure what to do, ask. I would rather you ask me 10 questions, 10 thoughtful questions, than do something you're not supposed to do. So if you've read the materials, if you've looked at the instructions, if you've gone over it carefully, and you still have questions, make sure you ask. That keeps us all safe. Some inappropriate behavior, obviously handstands like this guy's doing. But so this is not the time to goof off. This is not the time to make jokes or pretend to pour acid on somebody or no, none of that. And y'all, I'm a stickler for this. You will leave the room. I do not. I have a good safety record and I'm keeping it that way. I do not tolerate goofing off during lab time. Obviously, we don't want to taste or smell any chemicals or anything else in the lab. That's super important. There's nothing to eat in here. Running also can be very dangerous. Don't do it. And throwing things. Even if it's trash, take it to the trash can and put it in the trash can. Don't throw it across the room. You don't know what you might accidentally hit that might cause a spill or whatever. But super important, don't throw things. Okay. couple of other things just in case that are super important. This is the biggest one. Number one rule: tell me. Hey, if you spill something, break something, drop something, just let me know. I promise I won't get mad. I really do. Accidents happen, stuff gets broken. It happens all the time. So please just let me know. Um, if you spill something or break something, know the correct way to clean it up. It's different for every chemical, so each lab will let you know. I will tell you, for broken glass, don't pick it up with your hand. Just don't touch it with your hands. Come see me. I have the stuff to clean up broken glass. Um, so really the correct way to clean up anything is to tell me, and I will help you get it cleaned up. Don't try to take care of it yourself. Let me know. Um, the first aid kit is back in the back corner under the window. Um, so it has, just the general Band-Aids and stuff like that. But it's back there under the window on the back shelf. Um, and please just let me know. Just let me know so we can get it cleaned up safely, so no one gets hurt, so nothing gets damaged. Just let me know. I accidentally clicked on this. So in case you get something in your eye, we will hope that never happens. But the eye wash station is up at the front table in the sink. I'll show you guys how to use it. That's kind of a show and tell sort of thing. So that will happen in the next couple of days. But just use the eye wash station. Don't be embarrassed. We'd rather have you able to see. In case there's a fire, the fire extinguisher and the fire blanket are also on that back table under the window. The fire blanket is in a red pouch, and it will, if something's on fire or someone's on fire, you grab that, cover it with that blanket. It blocks out all the oxygen, and it's not flammable, so it will take care of any fire. But again, back under the window is where those things are if you need to get them quickly. Also, stop, drop, and roll. You learned it when you were 2, and it still applies today. Don't run. If your shirt accidentally catches on fire, we're still hoping that will never happen. But if it does, stop, drop, and roll. Like, put that fire out against the ground. Do not run. You run the risk of catching so many other things on fire if you run, and it's not going to put out the fire. It just adds oxygen. So stop, drop, and roll. Again, you learned it when you were little. It's still a good rule. I guess I said that. Just don't run. Again, hopefully none of this will ever happen, but just in case, always let me know. That's the main one. Quick measurement things. Again, a lot of this you probably already know. But first, here's some measurement tools. 1, a ruler. Measures length, obviously. We always use metric in this room. There will be no inches, always centimeters. Okay, so the main unit is centimeters. The rulers that we have measure both. This one even does. Inches here on the bottom, centimeters on the top. But we will always use centimeters. Next, a thermometer measures temperature. Again, we will always use Celsius as our main unit. So just know that. But here are the conversions for converting Fahrenheit to Celsius back and forth. So if you know Fahrenheit and you want to figure out Celsius, you do Fahrenheit minus 32 times 5/9. If you know Celsius and you want to convert to Fahrenheit, it's 9/5 times Celsius and then plus 32. So anyway, some good conversions to remember. I think they're probably in your yellow packet. Next is this graduated cylinder. It measures volume. The main unit is milliliters. You'll be using one of these in a couple of days. But volume in a graduated cylinder. Never measure volume in a beaker. I'll tell you that right now. Don't. Always use a graduated cylinder if you have to measure. Stopwatch obviously measures time. No metric system for time. We're still with seconds and minutes and hours. And lastly is a scale, a balance. We do not use these triple beam balances. We use the digital ones. They measure mass, and the main unit is grams. So grams on a scale, milligrams, but the main unit is grams. And these digital scales, I will show you how they work when the time comes. So briefly, those are just some measurement-y things. You're going to do a lab with measurement here in a little bit. And last thing you have in your notes is some common lab equipment. It's all labeled. Color it if you want. But these are all things we will most likely be using throughout the semester. So just kind of familiarize yourself with those things. Okay. And that is the end of the notes for this section, section 1.2. So you can move on to the activity.